Ladies and gentlemen, today I'm here to talk about the invisible chains that hold us back, the whispers in your mind that say, you can't, you're not enough, or what if you fail? These chains are fear and doubt. They wrap themselves around our dreams, our purpose, our joy, and our destiny. But today I declare that those chains are going to break. Now I want to ask you something. What would your life look like if you were unshackled from fear? What dreams have you hidden in the corners of your heart because doubt told you they were impossible? What if I told you that freedom from fear and doubt is not only possible, but is waiting for you right now? Stay with me today because we're not just going to talk about it. We're going to do something about it. By the time we're done, you'll be ready to walk out of here, look fear in the eye and tell it, "Lord, had your time, but I'm reclaiming mine." Fear and doubt are not strangers to any of us. They are part of the human condition. At some point in life, every person has felt the cold grip of fear or the nagging voice of doubt whispering in their ear. These emotions are not isolated to a particular age group, culture, or life experience. They are universal. Acknowledging this truth is powerful because it dismantles the isolation fear and doubt try to create. When you recognize that you are not alone in your struggle, a spark of hope begins to ignite. Fear and doubt often thrive in silence. They grow stronger when we refuse to name them, when we pretend they don't exist, or when we convince ourselves that acknowledging them is a sign of weakness. But there is no weakness in facing what is real. The first step in breaking free from their grip is to call them out. Say their names, look them in the eye, and admit that they have been part of your story. This act alone begins to weaken their power. Acknowledgement is not about resignation, it is about preparation. When you identify the fears and doubts that hold you back, you begin to see the patterns they create. You start to understand how they influence your decisions, your relationships, and your willingness to take risks. Fear tells you stay where it's safe. Doubt tells you you're not capable. But once you shine a light on these lies, you can start to challenge them. Throughout history, many great leaders, artists, and visionaries have spoken about their struggles with fear and doubt. Maya Angelou once said, "I have written 11 books, but each time I think, they're going to find out now. I've run a game on everybody, and they're going to find me out." Even someone as celebrated as Angelou wrestled with doubt, yet she didn't let it stop her. Her acknowledgement of those feelings became a step toward overcoming them. Similarly, Franklin D. Roosevelt famously reminded a nation in turmoil that the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. His words still resonate because they highlight the importance of recognizing fear for what it is, an obstacle, not an insurmountable wall. Acknowledging fear and doubt also opens the door for self-compassion. It allows you to understand that these feelings do not make you weak, they make you human. It gives you permission to stop beating yourself up for feeling afraid or uncertain. Instead, you can channel your energy into understanding where these emotions come from and what they're trying to protect you from. Often fear and doubt are misguided guardians trying to shield you from failure or pain. When you recognize this, you can thank them for their service and choose a different path. References from psychology and neuroscience further support the power of acknowledgement. Research on emotional intelligence, popularized by Daniel Goleman, shows that naming your emotions reduces their intensity. Brain Brown, a leading researcher on vulnerability, emphasizes the importance of speaking your truth, even when it's uncomfortable, as a way to disarm shame and fear. These insights underline that naming your fears and doubts is not just a feel-good exercise, it's a scientifically supported strategy for breaking their hold on you. The journey to freedom from fear and doubt begins with this simple but profound act. When you acknowledge their presence, you shift from being controlled by them to being in control. You create space for courage to enter and for clarity to emerge. This is not the end of the process, but it is a critical turning point. It is the moment when you take your power back. Fear and doubt often have deep roots, embedded in the soil of our past experiences, upbringing, and societal conditioning. To break free from their grip, it is crucial to examine where they come from and how they've been allowed to grow. Fear rarely appears out of nowhere. It is often cultivated over time, fed by moments of failure, rejection, or criticism. Doubt, too, doesn't spring up overnight. It is planted by voices, external or internal, that question our worth or abilities. When we take the time to explore these origins, we equip ourselves with the tools to confront and challenge them. Fear can often be traced to a survival instinct. Our ancestors relied on fear to protect them from physical dangers, but in modern life, that same mechanism can become overactive, perceiving threats where none truly exist. Fear of public speaking, for example, may not pose any real physical danger, yet it can feel paralyzing because it taps into deeper concerns about judgment and rejection. Similarly, doubt often stems from comparisons we make to others or to impossible standards set by society. It is reinforced by the critical voices we hear growing up or the failures we've experienced in the past. These roots are not always immediately visible, but they are there, shaping our thoughts and behaviors. Understanding these origins requires self-reflection and honesty. It may mean revisiting painful memories or addressing narratives we've carried for years. For instance, a person who grew up in an environment where mistakes were harshly criticized might internalize the belief that failure is catastrophic, leading to a lifelong fear of trying new things. A student who was told they weren't good might carry that doubt into adulthood, questioning their capability in even areas where they excel. Recognizing these patterns is not about dwelling on the past, but about identifying the source of the problem so it can be addressed. One of the most effective ways to confront these roots is through reframing. Cognitive behavioral therapy, a widely researched psychological approach, emphasizes the power of reinterpreting negative thoughts. If fear arises from past failures, reframing involves viewing those failures as learning opportunities rather than personal flaws. If doubt stems from societal expectations, reframing might involve redefining success on your own terms rather than those imposed by others. This shift in perspective can begin to weaken the hold that fear and doubt have over your decisions and actions. Another critical aspect of addressing the roots of fear and doubt is recognizing that they are often based on assumptions rather than facts. Fear frequently exaggerates the likelihood of negative outcomes, while doubt underestimates your ability to handle challenges. Studies in neuroscience show that fear activates the amygdala, the brain center for processing threats, which can cloud rational thinking. By consciously examining the evidence behind your fears and doubts, you can begin to see them for what they are, distortions rather than realities. References to the work of thought leaders and researchers further illustrate this point. Carol Dweck, in her studies on growth mindset, highlights how people can transform their relationship with failure by seeing it as a chance to grow. Her work shows that fear of failure is often rooted in a fixed mindset where abilities are seen as unchangeable, but this belief can be challenged and replaced with a growth-oriented perspective. Similarly, Viktor Frankl, in his book Man's Search for Meaning, emphasizes the importance of finding purpose even in the face of fear, showing that understanding the roots of our emotions can lead to profound freedom. By exploring the origins of fear and doubt, we gain clarity. These emotions lose much of their power when we see them for what they are, products of past experiences, protective mechanisms gone awry, or societal pressures that don't define our worth. This process of understanding may not be easy, but it is an essential step toward freedom. Recognizing the roots allows us to take control and begin the work of building a stronger, more resilient foundation. Fear and doubt are powerful, but they are no match for faith. Faith isn't just a religious concept. It is a deep, unwavering belief in the possibilities that lie ahead. When you choose faith over fear, you shift your focus from the perceived dangers to the opportunities that exist. Fear thrives in the unknown, but faith empowers you to face the unknown with confidence and hope. The transition from living in fear to living with faith begins when you stop allowing uncertainty to control your actions and instead trust in your ability to navigate whatever comes your way. Faith over fear doesn't mean that fear disappears. It simply means that your actions are no longer dictated by it. Think about the times in your life when you took a leap of faith, when you decided to move forward even though you didn't know exactly what the outcome would be. Perhaps it was starting a new job, entering a new relationship, or pursuing a dream you had kept hidden for years. At that moment, you were choosing faith over fear, deciding that the potential rewards were greater than the risks. It was that very choice that made all the difference. Research in psychology supports the power of faith in overcoming fear. Studies on positive psychology show that upfront belief in positive outcomes can significantly reduce stress and anxiety, which are often driven by fear. A strong belief in oneself and one's ability to succeed can shift the focus from what if it goes wrong to what if it goes right. This mindset doesn't just reduce fear, it transforms it into motivation. Instead of being paralyzed by the unknown, you become energized by it. Faith also plays a critical role in building resilience. Life is full of setbacks, disappointments, and challenges. But those who cultivate faith, whether in their abilities, in others, or in other power, are better able to weather these storms. They understand that failure isn't a permanent state, but a stepping stone toward growth. By maintaining faith through adversity, you strengthen your capacity to persevere, and the doubts that once held you back become less daunting. Brene Brown, a researcher and author, highlights the importance of vulnerability and courage in the face of uncertainty. She explains that vulnerability is not a weakness, but a source of strength. And it's the willingness to embrace vulnerability that fosters faith in ourselves and our abilities. Her work emphasizes that courage doesn't mean the absence of fear, but the willingness to act despite it. This is the essence of choosing faith over fear. Faith gives you the courage to move forward even when doubt is knocking at your door. It allows you to rise above the noise of uncertainty and follow the path you know is meant for you. When you choose faith over fear, you shift the narrative from one of limitation to one of possibility. And this shift is where true freedom begins. Action is the antidote to fear and doubt. When faced with uncertainty, it's natural to feel paralyzed, unsure of where to begin. Fear whispers that we're not ready or that we don't have enough resources, while doubt tells us that failure is inevitable. In these moments, it's easy to become overwhelmed by the enormity of the task ahead. However, the simple yet powerful act of moving forward, even if it's just a small step, breaks the cycle of inaction and begins to dismantle the hold that fear and doubt have over us. Action has a unique way of transforming the intangible into something real, something we can work with and improve upon. One of the most powerful aspects of action is its ability to build momentum. Fear often paralyzes us because we overestimate the obstacles in front of us, imagining a scenario where failure is guaranteed. But when we take even the smallest step, we begin to chip away at those illusions. Each step forward shifts our focus away from what could go wrong and toward what is already working. The act of doing something, even if it's not perfect, releases us from the grip of doubt because it forces us to confront the real-world evidence of our capabilities. Every action taken builds confidence, proving to ourselves that we are capable of more than we give ourselves credit for. Many successful individuals have spoken about how action was key to overcoming their fears and doubts. Thomas Edison, for example, famously failed thousands of times before inventing the light bulb. He didn't let failure paralyze him. Instead, he saw each attempt as a step closer to success. He said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." This mindset was rooted in the power of action, of showing up day after day and working through the doubts that may have arisen with each failure. His success wasn't based on avoiding fear or doubt, but on choosing to take action regardless of it. The principle of taking action is not just applicable to grand goals. It can also be seen in everyday choices. Consider the act of exercising when you don't feel like it. Fear tells you you're too tired or it's not worth it. Doubt questions, will this even make a difference? But when you choose to act and exercise anyway, you begin to break through those mental barriers. Over time, the consistency of action makes progress visible, and you realize that your fears were not as powerful as they seemed. This is how small actions compound to create lasting change. Research in behavioral psychology supports this idea as well. The 5-second rule, popularized by Mel Robbins, is based on the concept of using a brief window of decision-making to push through hesitation and fear. When we feel doubt or fear creeping in, our natural tendency is to freeze, but by counting down from 5 and then immediately taking action, we interrupt that cycle and create momentum. This simple technique helps us move past the initial resistance that fear creates and shifts our focus to the present moment where action is possible. Taking action also encourages us to embrace failure as part of the process. Fear of failure often keeps us stuck, but in reality, failure is rarely as catastrophic as we imagine. Each misstep is an opportunity to learn, grow, and refine our approach. Michael Jordan, one of the greatest basketball players of all time, once said, "I've missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. I've lost almost 300 games. 26 times I've been trusted to take the game-winning shot and missed. I've failed over and over and over and over again in my life, and that is why I succeed." Jordan's success wasn't just about his talent, it was about his relentless willingness to act even in the face of failure. The key to breaking free from fear and doubt lies not in waiting for the perfect moment or the absence of fear, but in choosing to act despite them. Action builds momentum, shifts our focus from what we lack to what we have, and helps us gain real-world experience that bolsters confidence. It's the path from hesitation to progress, and it's the bridge that connects our dreams to reality. When we take action, we stop being prisoners of our fears and doubts and become the creators of our own future. Failure is often seen as the greatest obstacle to success, and yet it is one of the most powerful catalysts for growth and transformation. Many people avoid failure out of fear or doubt, believing that a misstep will define their ability to achieve their goals. However, when we begin to see failure not as an endpoint, but as a lesson, a stepping stone towards success, we free ourselves from the paralyzing grip of perfectionism. Failure in this light becomes a necessary part of the journey, not something to be feared, but embraced. The first step in reframing failure is to understand that it is not a reflection of our worth or potential. It is simply an event or a result. A failure does not define who we are, nor does it mean we are incapable. The belief that we must succeed on the first try or that failure somehow diminishes our value is a limiting and unrealistic view. In reality, every successful person has encountered failure multiple times. Steve Jobs was ousted from Apple, the very company he founded, and yet that failure became the impetus for his later success as he went on to lead the company to new heights. His failure wasn't a sign of his inability, but an opportunity for growth and reinvention. Similarly, J.K. Rowling, the author of the Harry Potter series, faced rejection from dozens of publishers before her work was finally accepted. In fact, she was told that her writing would never amount to anything, yet she continued to write and believed in her work despite those failures. Today, her name is synonymous with success and imagination. The key lesson here is that failure is not permanent unless we allow it to be. Each failure provides a moment to pause, reflect, learn, and then move forward with greater wisdom and understanding. The way we view failure also plays a critical role in our response to it. Failure doesn't have to be seen as a signal to stop or give up. It can be viewed as feedback, as an opportunity to evaluate what went wrong, make adjustments, and try again with a more informed perspective. One of the most famous quotes from Thomas Edison is, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." His perspective is a reminder that each failure is not a wasted experience, but an integral part of discovering what will work. Failure is not a reason to quit. It is an invitation to refine and adapt our approach. Failure also provides valuable insights into our limits and capabilities. It helps us discover what we are truly made of, how resilient and adaptable we can be. When we face failure and rise from it, we build resilience. Every setback strengthens our ability to bounce back, to push through discomfort, and to take risks again. This process, while uncomfortable, is essential for growth. It teaches us to persevere, to maintain a forward-focused mindset, and to trust that success comes not through avoiding failure, but through learning from it and pressing on. In his book, Grit, psychologist Angela Duckworth explores the idea that success is not solely determined by talent, but by perseverance and passion for long-term goals. Duckworth's research highlights that people who achieve their objectives are often those who are able to view failure as part of the process and who persist even when success is not immediate. Grit, she suggests, is the combination of resilience and effort, and it is this quality that allows individuals to overcome failure and achieve their dreams. When we begin to view failure in this way, as an opportunity rather than a setback, our relationship with it transforms. It no longer holds power over us. Instead of being a source of dread or avoidance, failure becomes a teacher helping us grow, adapt, and ultimately succeed. Instead of running from failure, we learn to embrace it, knowing that each attempt, each misstep, and each lesson brings us closer to realizing our true potential. Boldness is the key to breaking free from the cycle of fear and doubt. It is the willingness to take risks, to step into the unknown, and to act in spite of uncertainty. Boldness is not the absence of fear, but the choice to act with courage in its presence. It involves making decisions and moving forward, even when the outcome is not guaranteed. Boldness is not reckless, it is calculated and deliberate. It is an act of self-trust and confidence in the ability to handle whatever comes next. This mindset allows us to embrace challenges with an open heart and a fearless spirit. Being bold requires a shift in perspective. Fear often whispers that we should play it safe, that we should stick to what is familiar, and that stepping out of our comfort zone is too risky. But in reality, staying within our comfort zones limits our potential. True growth happens when we venture into the unfamiliar, when we push past the boundaries of what we already know. Boldness challenges us to question the stories we tell ourselves, stories that tell us we're not ready or that we're not enough. When we choose to step forward despite these stories, we start rewriting our own narrative. Taking bold actions doesn't always lead to immediate success, but it always leads to progress. Boldness opens doors to new opportunities that fear would keep closed. Consider the example of Oprah Winfrey, whose early career was marked by numerous setbacks and failures. She faced rejection and criticism and was even told she didn't have the right look for television. Yet she remained bold in her pursuit of her vision, ultimately creating a media empire that has touched millions of lives. Her bold decisions to follow her instincts, even when others doubted her, paved the way for her success. Boldness, in this sense, is an essential part of the process of overcoming fear and doubt. Boldness also means having the courage to fail. Fear often keeps us from taking risks because we are afraid of falling short. But boldness teaches us that failure is not a reflection of our worth, but an opportunity for growth. When we choose to act boldly, we accept the possibility of failure as part of the journey. This mindset frees us from the paralyzing fear of not succeeding and allows us to embrace the learning process. Many great entrepreneurs and innovators, such as Elon Musk, have faced failure along the way. Musk's ventures, whether with SpaceX, Tesla, or other projects, have experienced their fair share of setbacks. But his boldness in continuing to push boundaries despite those failures has led to transformative success. Boldness also requires self-belief. It's difficult to take bold actions when doubt is in control, telling us that we're not capable. Boldness is the antidote to that voice. It's the internal confidence that we have what it takes to handle challenges, even if we don't have all the answers. It's the belief that we can find a way forward no matter how daunting the road ahead may seem. One of the most empowering aspects of boldness is the belief that we are capable of more than we know. When we act from this place of self-belief, we take control of our destiny instead of allowing fear and doubt to decide for us. In the realm of leadership, boldness is often what sets great leaders apart. It's easy to follow the crowd, to stick to what has worked before. But true leadership requires the courage to forge a new path, to challenge the status quo, and to inspire others to do the same. Leaders like Nelson Mandela and Martin Luther King Jr. displayed unparalleled boldness in the face of adversity. They took bold stands for justice, equality, and change despite the risks to their own safety and well-being. Their boldness not only transformed their own lives, but also impacted the world. Boldness creates a ripple effect. It influences others, inspiring them to take action in their own lives. When we are bold in our own actions, we give others permission to be bold as well. This creates a culture of courage and growth, where fear and doubt have less power over all of us. Boldness is contagious, and as we embody it in our own lives, we help others break free from the limitations they have imposed on themselves. In conclusion, boldness is not about being fearless, but about moving forward despite fear. It is the catalyst for growth, transformation, and success. Boldness creates opportunities, empowers us to overcome setbacks, and helps us believe in our own potential. It is the defining characteristic of those who live beyond fear and doubt, shaping their destiny and inspiring others to do the same.